Hi everyone, welcome to another album ranking. Sorry it's been quite a while really, I've just been so busy, I've not been able to cut one out. But yeah, this is, I'm going to shut the window. It's not a good start, is it? Right, yeah, so I'm going to carry on with the Hawkwind album rankings. This one is 90s now, I've moved into the 90s Hawkwind, and there's yeah, it's an interesting period. I mean, in a way, this is when I started going to see Hawkwind. It was the 90s period where I first see Hawkwind back in 91. I think my first concert was one of the 24-hour, or it might have been 12-hour Technicolor all-dayers at Brixton Academy. So that was an eye-opener to start with, you know. I think Hawkwind played twice, if I remember, an early show and a later show. But yeah, they were amazing. They did a few of them in Brixton, and I might be wrong, but if I remember, you couldn't actually leave. I think you had to stay there. But yeah, really great. And I think it was the last of the kind of Space Bandits lineups I saw. So I think Bridget and Harvey Bainbridge and Simon House was still in the band, I believe. So I got to see that lineup. But yeah, so the 90s is when I started going to see Hawkwind, because I'm, you know, maybe slightly younger than some other fans. But yeah, 90s is an interesting period. For me, it's some really great stuff and so not so good stuff. It's quite a mixed bag. I kind of call it, in a way, the unnecessary double album period. But there's some really good stuff. It's interesting because 80s kind of divided a lot of opinions. So I think a lot of the 70s fans that didn't like the 80s actually welcomed the 90s sort of era, really, because in a lot of ways it brought back more of the sort of psychedelic sound. Obviously less of the sort of 80s clean production. Also a lot of people that are into the dance music scene sort of come on board as well, because there was a bit of that going on in the Hawkwind sound as well as the rock. So it was a really good, interesting time in Hawkwind's life as well. So I quite like the 90s. So I'm going to do, there's more or less 6 albums. Also, I think from the 90s onward, it becomes, Hawkwind have always been pretty complicated, but it even becomes quite complicated to work out what is actually a Hawkwind album, because I'm just sticking with the studio albums. So I'm going to go, what I'll do is, like I've done all the other videos, I'll compare where it is on my list, obviously, to what you had in your list for the 90s. Yeah, interesting. So let's start with probably the only album I don't own. My dad did have it on CD, he might have had it on album, I'm not sure, and I've never really bothered picking it up because I'm not overly keen on it, and in a way it's not, you couldn't even really class it so much as a Hawkwind album. I'm including it because it's the members of Hawkwind basically. So but yeah, they did a kind of side project called the Psychedelic Warlords. But it is Brock, Alan David and Richard Chadwick. It came out just before Alien 4, so it did feel like a side project really, and really it's an instrumental album of mainly sort of quite dancey, quite festively, experimental kind of electronic stuff, not a lot of guitars and that. But I wouldn't like go as far to say it's like this straight dance album or whatever. It's still pretty interesting. Yeah, I just not terribly into it. And funny enough, neither of you guys. This is 5 in your list of 6 albums, and in fact, White Zone didn't make the top 40 even. So, but it is interesting. I quite like Frenzy. That's pretty aggressive actually. There's a couple of songs from the Brock's Strange Trips and Pipe Dreams solo album as well. What other songs in there? See, I don't really even remember too much about it. The White Zone, I think, was interesting. yeah, Search for Shangri-La. Interestingly, there is a song called Love in Space. Would have been the first time they would have wrote a song called Love in Space, because it predates the single and the Alien 4 stuff. But it doesn't sound like Love in Space at all, so it could just be another song called Love in Space. But it's complicated because there are so many different versions of that song, as you'll find out when we go through. But like, there's so many different versions of that song, so it's okay. I don't even own it though. I should try and pick it up. So that's number 6. Now number 5. Again, this is you have this. I have this at 5. You have this at 3. So you actually quite like this album. I was quite disappointed with it because it come after an album I really like from the 90s, and it has a similar vibe in a way. It's a double album as well, but really it's an instrumental album. Really, it's The Business of the Future to Be Dangerous. Cool cover. There's the back, and I think the gatefold's pretty awesome actually. Looks really good. There you go. So yeah, they're the classic 3-piece. It was a great tour actually, the business trip. I really enjoyed the tour, but I don't really like the album that much. I mean, it's produced really well, sounds awesome, but it's the start of you know, I think the unnecessary double album. It doesn't need to be a double album, and to be honest, there ain't really any songs on it as such. It's all kind of instrumentals. Space's Lair is interesting though, because that song was actually always played as the middle section of Asano Saba, or Assassins of Allah, whatever you want to call it. It was always like the middle section of that song, and it's quite cool because it's quite dancey, but it has also like an Eastern feel to it, so it suits that song really well. The only songs with lyrics are just remakes of old songs anyway, like Letting in the Past is Looking to the Future from Church of Hawkwind. The Camera That Could Lie is interesting. It's like a reggae version of Living on a Knife Edge from the Sonic Attack album. It worked really well live. They split out in with LSD, the track LSD, and I thought it worked really well. But I actually, even though it gets a lot of stick, I actually quite like the cover of Gimme Shelter. Obviously at the time they did a charity single called Gimme Shelter. They teamed up with Samantha Fox. Other bands teamed up with other kind of like bands or artists that you wouldn't expect, you know. What was it, Tom Jones with, I'm not sure who he was with actually, I can't remember now, but it was all strange mixes. But I mean, it's the first time you get to hear Richard Chadwick sing, and he's a really good singer, as we know now. He really, I thought he was always like completely underused in the 90s, because he's a really good singer. But like I say, to me it's good background music. I'm quite surprised to see it up at third, because, like, you know, it basically is just an instrumental album, but not in a super interesting way for me. Like, for example, the first Hawkwind album is mainly an instrumental album, but for me it's more in that kind of rock kind of vibe, you know, 60s rock kind of vibe, so psychedelic, so it kind of like, I like it. Whereas this is maybe more in the keyboard sort of area of things, but Tibet is Not China is okay, I guess. But yeah, I don't dislike it, but to me it's background music really. It's not something I really listen to that much. And to be honest, you know, it's a shame in a way, because I was quite excited about it when it came out. But anyway, so that's number 4 for me. Yeah, so this is the much derided album by Hawkwind. This is the number 6 in the 6 90s albums, and of course didn't make the top 40. I actually think this album's really underrated. It never got any, I remember it come out without no fanfare, hardly anyone knew about it. I don't even think people realised it had come out even, you know. But I actually quite like it. I've only got it on CD. It's Distant Horizons, and I think it gets too much of a bad rap for me. Not the greatest album cover, let's be honest. So there the guys. So at this time, this came out in 97, so at this time you had Dave Rock, Richard Chadwick, the drums, that Alan Davey had left, which didn't help. I was gutted about that myself. So about Ron Tree on vocals, and he also takes up bass duties, and they bring in Jerry Richards. He'd already toured with him. I quite like him as a guitarist actually. So, but half of this album's really good, I think. I like the Ron Tree's songs are great. Fetterman Street, Reptile Vision are great. Heavy bass, really loud drums actually. I think they're great. Alchemy is an awesome instrumental by Jerry Richards. Again, very heavy metal, you know, quite really good riffy song. I really like that. And Dave Brock's beautiful Clouded Visions. I think that's a really good song. Sure, it does like fall away. It becomes a little uninteresting after that. Mainly just instrumentals. And again, you get Love in Space. Another version of Love in Space. This one's an instrumental version. It's not too bad actually, but it's instrumental version. So I actually quite like this, but I know the band themselves even say they don't really like this, but it's fine. It's absolutely fine. So so this is controversial to me. So if you remember on my 80s countdown, I said Sonic Attack. It's probably my favourite album that got ranked the lowest. So it was my biggest shock how Sonic Attack got rated so low. Well, for me, this album, I think is rated way too high. I was really shocked at how high in the top 40 this is ranked. Not that I don't dislike it, it's pretty good. But I was really surprised at how high it ranked. I think it might be just the whole concept over it maybe. But this is your number 2 album of the 90s. And I'm really gutted I don't have the final. My dad had the final. But I wanted to get it, but it's too expensive on vinyl, so I've got it on CD, and I've got the t-shirt. This is Alien 4. So really excellent album cover, which always helps. Alan Arthur's. The 90s was Alan Arthur's. I always think like 70s was mainly Barney Bubbles, 80s was mainly John Coulthard, and the 90s is mainly Alan Arthur's. And brilliant artwork. Some of the album covers are great. So yeah, my version comes with a sort of no lyrics, just a sort of essay about the band. But yeah, cool little package. So I'm afraid this comes in my it didn't need to be a double album yet again. I mean, these aren't massively long double albums. I think the 3 that we're talking about are around 65 to 68 minutes, so they're not super long. But to me, it's like, I think most of these albums could do without some of the instrumentals, really, you know. But there's a lot of cool stuff on this. I mean, I hate to say it because I know people will absolutely kill me. Like Distant Horizons, everyone hates. It's not in the top 40. Everyone seems to love this. It's your number 2 in the 90s and really high up in the list. I was debating to swap round Distant Horizons and Alien 4. I'm not joking, but no, you can't do that. So it's pretty cool. You have like it's not really a concert album, but most of the songs are sort of about aliens, so it's really cool. The tour, I remember, was really good. I was kind of disappointed that song-wise, because it's just basically this album they played through. You can get the Love in Space live album. But I remember the production was high. They got in really professional dancers. Ron Tree just looked cool with the alien mask, and it was all really good. But Abducted, really excellent. great intro, really spooky. Alien and I Am, I absolutely love, one of my favourite Hawkwind songs, certainly from the 90s. Absolutely great song, really catchy. Yeah, Reject Your Human Touch is right. Blue Skin, instrumental probably don't need. Or yeah, Fager is an instrumental I quite like, that's by Alan Davey. Cinemorph, that's a pretty cool song, quite rocking, I like that. Journey sort of alright. Sputnik Stan, awesome Alan Davey heavy rocker, really like that. Capel, Festivals, not super into. And then you get the sort of three old songs redone. Death Trap, which I think is a pretty good version. Are You Losing Your Mind is really cool actually, and Wastelands. If you got the Business Trip album, they played them songs on that album. You had Wastelands, which was just like the instrumental versions of Wasteland of Sleep from Sen Codex, and Are You Losing Your Mind on Business Trip I think was called The Dream Has Ended, I might be wrong. But basically what it is, it's The Iron Dream from Quartz Razors and Charm, but with some new lyrics by Ron Tree, and it's really awesome. It's a great way to finish the album. Except it's not the end of the album. If you got the final, you got this song called SpaceX, which I think is awful actually. It should have ended on Are You Losing Your Mind, because it's the perfect ending. So you can see what I think, you know, there's a whole bunch of kind of songs that I don't really like, that are, you know, to me are kind of fillers or instrumental fillers, and some really great songs. I also think the production is a bit weird. I always thought the production sounded a little bit muddy, especially in the guitars. Not that that bothers me too much, because, you know, probably my favourite Hawkwind album, arguably, Do Re Mi, is probably one of the worst produced albums by Hawkwind, but I love it, so it doesn't really matter. But I always thought the guitar sounded quite muddy. I mean, when you think about the previous two albums, they were really well produced. So, but that's okay. But yeah, all you guys seem to love it. I don't mind it. I like probably half of it. But yeah, but I love the look and the concept and all that. It's really cool. So there you go, Alien 4. My number 3 was that? Yeah, my number 3. Your number 2. So my favourite two albums, funny enough, when I did my original polls years ago on Facebook, I actually at that time had the 1 and 2 swapped around a different way, but now I've swapped them back. I think it's probably correct actually. But I really love this album. This is actually just 4th in your favourite 90s albums, but I really like it. It was interesting, of course, because for the first time they brought in a female singer. Space Bandits from 1990. They brought back Simon House as well, just playing violin, official member. But yeah, I always thought this album sounded really good, well produced. And I remember when I first heard that they're getting a female vocalist, I was like, blimey, that's really weird. I'm kind of surprised, because she only did this album and a few live things like Palace Springs, Live Legends, Live at Nottingham, and I thought she was really good, and I did get to see her. So, but I'm quite surprised they never went with a female singer again. I thought they might go down that path again, but it starts off with, again, one of the most awesome songs, and I was glad to hear him put it back in the set list a while back. Images, great song, I love it, just really catchy, you know. Her vocals are great, great chorus, just driving kind of riffs, little, you know, they've got a little heavy breakdown bit. It goes on for 9 minutes, and it does repeat itself a bit, but I love it so much I don't mind it. I don't mind that, you know. But yeah, I absolutely love Images. Black Elk Speaks, kind of an instrumental, like Native American Black Elk, which is really cool actually. Wings I really like by Alan Davey, a beautiful song. Yeah, about well, like most things about the world getting polluted, and you're not hearing, you know, birds anymore. You know, the wings are covered in oil. You know, is a lyric, soaked in oil. Yeah, really beautiful song and very sad. And then you get the classic Out the Shadows, which is really cool. Love Out the Shadows. That was in the set list for ages, actually. That's a really good track. Realms is okay, Ship of Dreams is okay, and then you get TV Suicide, which is quite a sort of funny song in a way by Harvey Bainbridge. It used to come to life quite well live, that one, because you used to just go off on a rant. But yeah, really cool. Also, like, I remember, like, someone got upset about the Hall of Mount Grill cover, that it looked quite really sad, this abandoned spacecraft, but it's alright because there's the spacecraft and out comes Hawkwind, so they're doing fine. Everything was okay, don't worry. Pretty cool cover. It's actually Joe Patagno who did all the Motorhead covers. So yeah, I really like this album. Really cool, really good. So my number one, it had to be. It's your number one. It's really high up in the top 40 as well, which I was still quite surprised about, but I think it's become like a real sort of cult classic. It's funny, I wrote in a book, it's like a modern Hawkwind classic, but it's like 92 it came out. It's hardly modern, but I kind of think of it as modern. You know, it's weird. What's that, nearly 30 years old, but I love the sound of it. I think Dave Rock really stuck with that kind of guitar tone. It's a tone he kind of uses now, really, and it kind of started from Electric TP that Starwy's got. But yeah, I love it. Electric TP, absolutely brilliant cover. I've got a limited edition. This is 4,510 out of 5,000 limited edition copies, which I think the limited edition was it was a gatefold. And there's the back, there they are, digitally enhanced inside the TP. And this is the album really that I thought, like, oh yeah, they've gone back to quite a sort of psychedelic sound. Great inside cover. Again, great Alan Arthur's drawing there. I got to admit though, I still think it's overlong. I still think you could have cut quite a lot of songs and made it a single album, and the single album would have been really awesome because it's really great. LSD, that's all I can say. LSD, one of my favourite Hawkwind songs, period. It's definitely one of the best songs they've come out with in the last 30 years. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, like, you apart from maybe the modern production, you could like put that into the 70s and it would sound like a 70s Hawkwind song. It just has that vibe. Great vocal by Alan Davey. Brilliant sort of swooping sound effects and heavy guitars. The version that's on the Business Trip is really cool as well. I love LSD. So, to be honest, like, it's almost like my number one album just because LSD, almost, you know, it's that good. Blue Shift I really like. Great instrumental, love that. Relaxing. Death of War's really cool. Really lyrically, I think it was done by someone who was convicted murder or something in jail, but the lyrics are really cutting about war. Great song, very moody. Secret Agent, quite a fun song. It's got a sort of Flying Doctor kind of vibe to it. It's a great rocking song, not to be taken too seriously, you know, but I enjoy it. Garden Pest, Space Dust are not great, so you could lose them. It's interesting. Snake Dance is quite an old song. They were playing that song when they were doing on the last tour with Bridget, and it's a cool track actually. I really like it. Instrumental again, although this version is much more synthesizer based. Like when they used to play it live, it was more guitar based. So I kind of like the guitar for the live version. It's a bit better, but it is a cool song. Then I probably would say, is that the right side? Oh dear. Yeah, I would say, see, over the years, Hawkwind have rehashed a lot of old songs, and most of the time I'm not overly keen on them doing that. Not on album, obviously live they can rehash and redo that. That's great. There have to be some successes, and but most of the time I'm like, oh, I don't need to hear a newer version of an old song. But in this case, I thought they did an awesome job. Mask of Morning is a really completely different version of Mirror Illusion from the first album, which I still love, by the way. That's more of a folky kind of thing. This is a full-on rock song, fast but really like great vocal by Brock, and it just works really well. And I remember hearing it live for the first time. I thought, oh, it's so good. So I really like Mask of Morning. That's awesome. It's getting quite dark here. Can I see? Do I need my glasses? Neverworld, Don't Understand, yeah, slightly filler. Sadness Runs Deep, one of Brock's typically downbeat lyric and vocals. Great song. I love Sadness Run Deep. Really emotional song. I love it. And then you get to the fourth side, if I can find it. Yeah, you get to... Now I put this in the sort of same category as Silver Machine and Needle Gun, which I talked about in my last two things. Obviously Silver Machine was a big hit. Needle Gun kind of should have been, because it's that kind of pop rock 80s song. I was quite surprised it never did that well. Right to Decide is a straight up kind of catchy, radio friendly almost rock pop tune with a really great chorus. I thought this should have been a huge single for them again, you know. It's a great song. The only song they played on the 50th anniversary from this album was Right to Decide, but I really like the song. It's a real catchy number, so yeah, really cool. Ends with going to Hawaii and Electric Teepee, which are kind of slightly disappointing ways to end the album. So as you can see, like, there's some songs in there I actually love, and as an album in a whole I do really love it. I think it could have been trimmed. I know you got it number one, it's high up in the top 40, so I'm sure you disagree, and fair enough. But I do really love the album, so that's my number one album from the 90s, Electric TV. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and of course this is all to promote my book, Hawkwind Fans Worldwide Facebook Top 40 Albums. You can pick it up on Amazon, but I think if you want a cheaper option, just let me know down in the comments, and I can post to you. If you're, well, I can post you anywhere actually, but in the UK it's 12 quid. If you're abroad, it fair is. If I know you in person, I can hand you the book for £10. A little bit cheaper than buying it on Amazon. So, and in fact, I get slightly more royalties. Amazon are greedy buggers. So, but yeah, by all means, buy it on Amazon though if you want, you know. So yeah, thanks very much for watching again. My book's been selling pretty well actually. I've been really pleased, and I've had a lot of good. Not so many reviews. My sister reviewed the book on Amazon actually, because that really helps if you did like it, you know. But I have been getting some great feedback. Everyone's liking it, so that's really cool. So next time will be I'll join them all as 2000s and 2010s, mainly because they didn't do that many albums in the 2000s. So I think they only did maybe the one studio album. Gets quite complicated again. They did quite a lot of albums in the 2010s. I'm familiar-ish. What I want to do with the 2000s and 10s is re-listen to the albums a lot actually. So it might be a little while before I come on with that one. I really want to listen to them albums properly. Again, you know, before I do my top whatever it is. How many, just out of interest, how many albums are there? So yeah, noughties and tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 6 again. 2, 3, 4. Oh, only 6. There might be some others that are, you know, a bit like Whitestone, not really Hawkwind albums. I'll have a look anyway. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Obviously they've done some more albums since I wrote this book. That's how long it took. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time for the 2000s.